Hi, I'm Blake Lively, and I'm going to be taking the BuzzFeed quiz, which iconic Blake Lively character?
Hi besties, I am Bhaskar Lashari with Corevanta. Today we should discuss about the
Blake Lively exposed. Hidden scandals that will blow your mind. Few names in Hollywood shine quite like Blake Lively's. A woman who has long been presented as the golden girl of the entertainment industry, with her radiant smile, seemingly perfect marriage to Ryan Reynolds, and her carefully curated public persona that projects glamour, elegance, and wholesome charm. Yet beneath this glossy surface lies a world of rumors, whispered scandals, and shocking truths that few dare to discuss openly. And as we peel back the layers of her story, a darker, more complex picture begins to emerge, one that raises serious questions about how image, influence, and manipulation collide in the world of celebrity culture. Born into a Hollywood family, Blake was always destined to be close to fame. Her father Ernie Lively, an actor, her mother Elaine, a talent manager, and her siblings also involved in acting, which meant the path to the spotlight was paved early. But while many admire her for rising quickly in the industry, others have whispered that nepotism and carefully constructed networks of influence had more to do with her rapid ascent than pure talent. Because when she landed the role of Serena van der Woodsen in Gossip Girl, it wasn't just a breakout performance. It was an orchestrated positioning by industry insiders who wanted a fresh face to carry the new wave of teen drama culture, and Blake, with her striking looks and ability to blend innocence with seduction, was the perfect choice. But behind the scenes there were rumors of aggressive negotiations, strings being pulled, and quiet deals being made to push her forward while others were quietly edged out of the spotlight. Her rise during Gossip Girl was meteoric, and fans fell in love with the glamorous, fashionable Serena, but critics were less kind, pointing out that Blake's acting was often flat and one-dimensional. Yet somehow she continued to dominate magazine covers, fashion campaigns, and red carpets, suggesting that a machine larger than pure talent was at work, shaping her into a cultural icon. And this is where the first shadow falls, because while Blake was adored publicly, whispers of manipulation, favoritism, and carefully hidden indiscretions followed her career closely. Insiders have long suggested that Blake was more strategic than she let on, using relationships and calculated alliances to cement her standing, and one of the earliest controversies surrounded her rumored involvement with her Gossip Girl co-star Penn Badgley, a relationship that looked picture-perfect on the surface, but behind closed doors was said to be turbulent, filled with arguments and jealousy, though presented to the public as an innocent young romance. What makes this interesting is not just the relationship itself, but how it was used to fuel publicity for the show, with Blake's personal life and on-screen life blurring in ways that felt staged, almost as if the entire romance was managed for maximum exposure rather than genuine intimacy. Hollywood thrives on such blurred lines, and Blake's early years exemplified this pattern. Every friendship, every date, every red carpet moment became part of the myth of Blake Lively, a myth that hid more than it revealed, and behind that myth lay stories of ruthless ambition. It was during these years that rumors began to spread of Blake's flirtations with powerful figures in Hollywood, whispers of relationships or near relationships, with producers and directors that never made it to mainstream headlines, but circulated among insiders, suggesting that her rise to bigger film roles wasn't always as clean as it appeared. One of the most persistent stories involves her casting in Oliver Stone's film Savages, a role that critics said didn't quite match her abilities, but which she landed nonetheless, leading to speculation that she had charmed her way into opportunities others had fought harder for. And though no hard evidence has ever been publicly revealed, the sheer volume of such rumors hints at a pattern. Blake Lively is not merely the sweet, talented actress she appeared to be, but as a strategic operator in Hollywood's shadowy power games. The scandalous element here is not necessarily her ambition. After all, Hollywood runs on ambition, but the lengths to which some claim she went, including leveraging relationships, whisper campaigns, and subtle manipulations to maintain her Golden Girl image even when her work didn't always match the hype. Another striking scandal surrounds her relentless control of her public image, which critics argue often verged on deception. Unlike many of her peers, Blake famously avoided hiring a professional stylist for years, claiming to dress herself for red carpets, a move that won her applause from fans who saw it as authentic and relatable. But insiders later revealed that she was quietly working with high-level fashion contacts, borrowing pieces, and carefully staging her looks, then taking the credit to appear more down-to-earth. A small but telling example of how she managed perception at every turn. Her so-called homemade lifestyle brand, Preserve, was another example of this manipulation backfiring. Pitched as an authentic glimpse into artisanal living, it was quickly torn apart for being pretentious, inauthentic, and misleading, with critics accusing Blake of trying to cash in on lifestyle culture without truly caring about the artisans she claimed to represent. And the scandal here was not the failure of the business itself, but the way it exposed cracks in her carefully crafted persona, showing the difference between the Golden Girl image and the reality of calculated branding. Yet perhaps the most fascinating element of Blake's hidden scandals is her marriage to Ryan Reynolds, a union celebrated worldwide as #couple goals, but one that has long been shadowed by gossip. To the public, they are the witty, glamorous couple who post cheeky birthday messages and laugh their way through interviews, but to insiders, the relationship is far more complex, with allegations of staged social media banter to distract from deeper issues, carefully timed public appearances to drown out negative press, and even rumors of heated disagreements that never make it to the tabloids. Blake and Ryan's relationship functions almost like a business empire, with both partners benefiting from the image of perfection, but critics argue that the very perfection is suspicious, too polished, too rehearsed, and it raises the question, what are they hiding? Some suggest it's about control. Control of narrative, control of image, control of what the world sees. And the scandals, both small and large, point to Blake as a master manipulator of her own myth. But perhaps the most chilling whispers come from those who claim Blake has quietly sabotaged others to maintain her place in the spotlight. There are stories, difficult to verify but widely circulated, of her interfering with casting decisions, of using her influence to edge out rivals, of maintaining, revealed the beginnings of Blake's carefully constructed image and the whispers of manipulation. Part 2 delves into the heart of the storm, where her hidden scandals grow louder, where friendships fracture, where her Golden Girl facade collides with the ruthless machinery of Hollywood, and where her marriage, the so-called perfect fairy tale with Ryan Reynolds, becomes the centerpiece of both admiration and suspicion, because in a world that thrives on image, even the most polished surface can hide cracks too deep to ignore. Behind the camera flashes and glossy magazine spreads, Blake's friendships became one of the first battlegrounds where hidden truths began to surface, with her infamous distance from Leighton Meester, her Gossip Girl co-star, standing out as one of Hollywood's most puzzling relationships. While the show built an empire on the chemistry between Serena and Blair, rumors circulated that Blake and Leighton's relationship off-screen was frosty, marked by jealousy and unspoken competition. And although both actresses rarely addressed the topic directly, their absence from each other's major life milestones became glaring evidence for fans, suggesting that behind the polished facade of ensemble friendship lay silent rivalries and unresolved tension. This was not just about two young actresses clashing, but about Blake allegedly maneuvering herself into the dominant role, cultivating more press attention, stealing the spotlight, and ensuring that Serena van der Woodsen remained the defining face of Gossip Girl, while Blair Waldorf, though beloved, never quite overshadowed her. And in Hollywood, such quiet rivalries often tell more than the headlines ever could. Beyond Gossip Girl, Blake's circle continued to raise questions, especially her alignment with Taylor Swift's Notorious Squad, a move that many saw not as genuine friendship, but as calculated PR, giving Blake access to Taylor's global fanbase, media reach, and cultural dominance at a time when she needed to reinvent herself after her struggling lifestyle brand Preserve had collapsed. Yet the cracks even in that alliance became visible, as whispers began circulating that Blake and Taylor were not as close as their curated images suggested, with some insiders hinting at tension beneath the surface, competition for control of the narrative, and the possibility that Blake's presence in the squad was more about reclaiming relevance than authentic connection. Hollywood thrives on alliances, but it also thrives on betrayals, and Blake's shifting circles fed the scandalous image of a woman who, despite projecting wholesome stability, was constantly recalculating who could offer her the most power. But perhaps the most shocking element of Blake's hidden scandals comes from her marriage to Ryan Reynolds, a pairing so perfect on paper that many fans call them the last fairy tale couple of Hollywood. Their witty social media banter, their coordinated red carpet appearances, and their charming family image with their children all play into a carefully crafted fantasy, but critics argue that the perfection feels suspiciously staged, too rehearsed, too seamless, as if the entire relationship has been turned into a performance designed to distract from what really lies underneath. Behind closed doors, rumors persist of fiery arguments, jealousy, and even power struggles, with some sources suggesting that Ryan's skyrocketing fame after Deadpool shifted the balance in their marriage, leaving Blake struggling to maintain equal footing in the public eye. While the couple cleverly uses humor to deflect speculation, joking about each other on Instagram, poking fun at their flaws in interviews, insiders whisper that much of this banter is strategic damage control, a way of keeping fans engaged while masking more serious tensions. And then there are the darker rumors, ones that hint at control and sabotage, with allegations that Blake's influence over Ryan has extended beyond their private life into his professional decisions, subtly shaping his choices, controlling which narratives about him get amplified, and ensuring that her own image remains intertwined with his success. Some critics even argue that Ryan, known for his sharp humor and business acumen, has become part of Blake's ultimate brand machine, with their marriage functioning as a partnership not unlike a corporation. Profitable, glossy, but not necessarily rooted in authentic connection. The true scandal lies in how perfectly they maintain the illusion, making it nearly impossible for fans to separate reality from branding. Yet Blake's manipulation of her image extends beyond her marriage and friendships. It touches on her career in ways that expose the ruthless underbelly of Hollywood. Multiple casting rumors suggest that Blake has not only fought tooth and nail for roles, but has at times interfered in ways that undermined rivals, with some stories alleging she used her influence to edge others out of consideration or sway directors in her favor. While these stories remain in the shadows, unproven but persistent, their very existence paints a picture of a woman who will stop at nothing to maintain her place in the spotlight, even if it means playing hardball behind the scenes while smiling sweetly in public. The industry itself has shifted around her. New waves of actresses, rising stars, and cultural icons have entered the scene. And yet Blake remains remarkably relevant, despite not having a consistent track record of blockbuster roles, leading many to question, how does she stay so central, so adored, so untouchable? The answer, critics argue, lies in manipulation of narrative, in maintaining the image of the golden girl while ruthlessly protecting her position. But the whispers of sabotage are not the only scandals that haunt Blake. Her image as the relatable, authentic star has been repeatedly questioned, particularly after the failure of Preserve, which exposed velvet curtains, the betrayals and manipulations that could shatter the myth once and for all. And the ultimate question: will Blake's golden empire stand the test of truth, or will the weight of these scandals finally bring it crashing down? The cracks behind the glamour. Then this final part drags the spotlight onto the deepest shadows, where the whispers of betrayal, manipulation, and hidden truths swirl into a storm that threatens to undo the fairy tale image she has fought so ruthlessly to protect. Because what makes Blake's story so shocking is not a single scandal but the possibility that her entire career, her relationships, and her persona have been built on carefully woven illusions. At the heart of this storm lies her marriage to Ryan Reynolds, the crown jewel of her public image, and yet it is also the most dangerous ticking time bomb. Because while the world laughs at their cheeky banter and swoons over their red carpet chemistry, insiders whisper that the image is too perfect, too polished, a well-rehearsed performance that hides more than it reveals. Sources close to the couple have claimed that tensions simmer beneath the surface, with Blake's hunger for control clashing against Ryan's natural charisma, and with rumors that their playful social media feuds are less about humor and more about distraction, carefully timed to deflect attention from disputes or negative headlines. What makes this particularly scandalous is the suspicion that Blake has turned her marriage into her most effective PR tool, ensuring that even when her acting career slowed or her ventures failed, the power of Blake and Ryan kept her firmly at the center of pop culture, making their relationship not just a union of love, but a business empire. And critics argue that when a marriage becomes an empire, cracks are inevitable. Whispers of jealousy, control, and even calculated image building plague the relationship, with some alleging that Blake's influence extends into Ryan's career decisions, that she orchestrates aspects of their public narrative, and that their love story is less spontaneous romance and more carefully drafted screenplay. And yet, the most shocking rumors point not to marital tension but to betrayal, stories of alleged flings and near scandals brushed under the carpet, with fans pointing to inconsistencies, strange absences, and public moments where the mask seemed to slip. For Blake, whose golden girl image depends on the illusion of the perfect marriage, even the suggestion of cracks feels like an earthquake, and it raises the question: what happens when the foundation of her empire begins to collapse? But beyond her marriage lies another battlefield, her career. And here, too, scandals cling to her story. After Gossip Girl, Blake's acting career has been uneven, with flashes of success like The Shallows and A Simple Favor but long stretches of silence in between. And yet, despite this inconsistent track record, she remains one of Hollywood's most visible stars, landing covers, campaigns, and influence far beyond what her filmography justifies. Critics argue that this isn't coincidence but manipulation, with Blake allegedly using her networks, her marriage, and her strategic alliances to secure relevance even when her projects fail to land, a pattern that raises uncomfortable questions about fairness in Hollywood. Did she earn her place, or did she maneuver it? Behind-the-scenes stories suggest she has edged out rivals, used her connections to influence casting, and even interfered with projects to maintain her status. And while these whispers rarely reach mainstream headlines, in the closed circles of the industry, they paint a picture of a woman willing to play hardball, while still presenting herself as humble and wholesome to the public. Her supposed authenticity, her claim to dress herself without stylists, her image as a relatable mother, her down-to-earth interviews, has also been challenged repeatedly, with critics pointing out the staged nature of her fashion, the contradictions in her lifestyle brand Preserve, and the fact that her relatable persona seems designed more for consumption than truth. But perhaps the most explosive element of Blake's scandals lies in her friendships, or rather, the betrayals that seem to follow them. Her strained relationship with Leighton Meester remains one of the most discussed Hollywood Cold Wars, while her high-profile alignment with Taylor Swift's squad was seen by many as opportunistic, a way of hijacking cultural momentum rather than genuine connection. And insiders whisper that Blake has quietly discarded allies once their usefulness ran out, leaving behind a trail of broken relationships that contrast sharply with her image of loyalty and grace. Some even claim she has undermined others behind closed doors, whispering in the right ears, playing subtle games to ensure she remains the golden girl while rivals fade into the background. A ruthless streak that makes her public persona feel less like authenticity and more like armor. And this is the heart of the scandal: the dissonance between who Blake presents herself to be and who she might truly be. Is she the sweet, talented actress, the loving wife, the devoted mother? Or is she the strategist, the manipulator, the woman who built an empire on smoke and mirrors? In many ways, she may be both, but the more these scandals pile up, the more fans and critics alike begin to wonder how long the illusion can last. Hollywood history is littered with golden girls who fell from grace when the truth emerged, from carefully hidden affairs to financial scandals to betrayals that finally broke through the curtain. And Blake's story seems poised at that dangerous precipice. Already, fans online scrutinize every detail of her life, analyzing interviews for tension, dissecting social media posts for hidden meaning, connecting dots between absences, rumors, and public missteps. And the more they search, the more they find inconsistencies, contradictions, and possible cracks in her carefully controlled world. The danger for Blake is not a single scandal but the cumulative effect of all these whispers. The perception that she is less authentic than she claims, that her marriage is less perfect than it appears, that her friendships are more transactional than heartfelt, and that her career is less about talent and more about influence. If that perception continues to grow, the empire could crumble, because in an age of social media, authenticity is the ultimate currency, and once fans believe they've been lied to, the backlash can be brutal. Yet even as these scandals loom, Blake remains outwardly unshaken, projecting confidence, elegance, and humor, a woman seemingly untouchable. But beneath the surface, the question lingers. Can she keep the mask on forever? Will the carefully staged illusion hold? Or will the truth finally break free? And perhaps the most chilling thought of all is this. What if the Blake Lively the world has adored never truly existed? What if she has always been a performance, an actress not just on screen but in life itself, playing the ultimate role of the golden girl while hiding the ruthless strategist beneath? If that is the case, then the scandals aren't just isolated stories. They are the truth bleeding through the cracks of the performance, a performance that cannot last forever. And when it finally collapses, when the curtain falls and the truth is exposed, it won't just be another Hollywood scandal, it will be the end of an illusion millions believed in. The shattering of a fairy tale that was never real to begin with, and the world will look back and ask itself, how did we fall for it for so long?